Hi everybody, welcome back. Good to be with you again. Today, it might be a bit of a messy one. I've been trying to look at, well, we're told in scripture if you want to know the end, you've got to know the beginning. So I'm just looking at the beginning of the age and ultimately between the beginning of the age to the time of the flood. So the first 1650 odd years of this age. But looking at it, the reason I started all this was because I heard something on TV or on somewhere along the line of Golden Age, and I thought to myself, when is this? Because we've got the Stone Age and all that, and I've written down all this stuff as I was. I mean, it's by no means accurate. It's just notes that I was making as I was going through and trying to work stuff out. Because I heard that the Golden Age is where man and gods lived together. So I thought maybe that's like Atlantis or something. And the Stone Age is, well, we see all the giant architecture of magnificent stone creation. And what I found, this stuff I've written on here is stuff I just found on Google. And I got to the point where I couldn't work out the ages because there's just so many different types of ages and such. Modern age, Middle Age. There was more before the Middle Age and the Iron Age, but they made no sense to me, so I didn't add them on there. And then I was trying to work out the vision, Daniel's vision of the king with the gold head, the silver chest and such, and where they might fit on the other. So I ended up saying that I had the gold age, the golden head, which was Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom, being in the Stone Age, because he would have built a magnificent architecture. If that makes sense, that's the kind of lines I was thinking along. And it just got to a point where I couldn't understand where I was going with it. So I just started writing down notes of what I know, the best, well, not what I know, what I've learned and discovered and read along the way, to the best of my understanding in the order that it is. So, we've got So at the end of the last age, beginning of this age, what we might know as Atlantis to Earth, the Atlanteans were destroyed for their sin, same way as this world will end. Satan, Enki, already on his anti-gravity aircraft, survives Atlantis and lands in Egypt. About Adam and Eve placed on Earth, I think quite possibly at the North Pole or on the centre lands around it, the 4 continents around the North Pole, Mount Meru. Around that time, Satan's judged for impregnating Eve with Cain. And after Cain is a teenager and kills his half-brother, he walks off. Well, he's sent away, and maybe from the centre of the earth, he's sent to Tartaria. And the 200 fallen angels after that, which would be in the days of Jared, which was the 5th generation from Adam, mingled with Cain's seed. So they came down and got with Cain's seed, maybe to Tartaria ways or towards Egypt, and that being that Egypt is where Enki was. But we find a lot of the giant structures. They're everywhere, but we do find a lot of the bigger ones between Egypt and Siberia and along that kind of way. So I just wonder if that's kind of the direction they all lived at. And then we've got 5 generations after they came down in the days of Jared till Noah's generation, which is obviously the days of the flood. Enoch was actually the 7th generation, where he judges the giants, and then the giants prepare for war. So he was actually between Jared and Noah, and he was taken to heaven, still alive now, till the Lord will have him die. And so Enoch judged them, and then they had a bit of time, and then there's the book called the King of the Giants, King Og, the book Book of the Giants. That basically tells you about the war that they have as the flood begins, and how the waters are filling up while they're still fighting each other. I can't find a free copy of it anywhere, and it's about 22 quid to buy, so I haven't got it, but I probably will get it just so I can read it out, because it's got quite a lot of information in there. And although it was released by the Vatican a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, you got to be careful, but at the same time, they don't really create much. They just edit the truth, so there would be some truth in it to a degree anyway. So then, yeah, Adam's seed. After this, what I found out from reading the Lost Book of Adam and Eve, Adam and his seed were told to remain on the holy mountain. Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech and Noah were basically the only men left there. Bit by bit, everyone else out of Adam's seed went down the holy mountain, slept with and sinned with Cain's seed, and then were unable to return back up the mountain. So basically, have I got that here? All right, yeah. So the timeline: if this is Adam and this is Yeshua's birth or passing, sorry, then that is around 4,000 years. But what we're talking about now, to Noah's flood, is actually there 1,646 years. It's just that period of time there. The reason I've got 1, 3 and 7 up the top there is in the book I read before a few months ago from Isaac Newton about how God broke up this age, and that there's one age, so that's the 1, and then it's 7,000 years, so that's the 7. And then there's 3 periods between it, and that is from Adam to the flood, from flood to Yeshua, and then Yeshua to the end of time, the end of the age. So what I'm actually looking at today is the first part of that 3, from Adam to the flood. And on here it shows a small amount, but it's 1/3 of much time, and that's where a lot of the big giant structures of architecture and such, and all the giant miles long coastlines and stuff that you see that are man-made, much of that would have been built in that time before the flood anyway. Not all of it, but much of it. And then yeah, where I was saying that the holy ones like Adam and his seed are up the mountain, I just found the bit here where it says about who will be left on the holy mountain. And it says, I'll just read a little bit. And Jared dies in sorrow, for his sons had gone astray. A prediction of the flood. After this, another company gathered together, and they went to look after their brethren, and they perished as well as they. And so it was, company after company, until only a few of them were left. Then Jared sickened. Sorry, I'll make that a bit bigger so you can see it. Bugger. What's going on? That's better. I don't know what I've done there. Right, so it was company after company until only a few were left. And Jared sickened from grief, and his sickness was such that to the day of his death drew near. So that the day of his death drew near. Then he called Enoch his eldest son, and Methuselah Enoch's son, and then Lamech the son of Methuselah, and Noah the son of Lamech. And when they were come to him, he prayed over them and blessed them, and said to them, Ye are righteous, innocent sons, go ye not down from this holy mountain, for behold, your children and your children's children have gone down from this holy mountain, and have estranged themselves from this holy mountain through their abominable lust and transgression of God's commandment. But I know, through the power of God, that he will not leave you in this holy mountain, because your children have transgressed his commandment, and that of our fathers which we have received from them. But, O my sons, God will take you to a strange land, and ye shall never again return to behold with your eyes this garden and this holy mountain. Therefore, O my sons, set your hearts on your own selves, and keep the commandment of God, which is with you. And when you go from this holy mountain into a strange land, which ye know not, take with you the body of the father Adam, and with it the 3 precious gifts and offerings, namely the gold, the incense, and the myrrh. And let them be in a place where the body of our father Adam shall lay. And unto him of you shall be left, O my sons, shall the word of God come. And when he goes out of this land, he shall take with him the body of our father Adam, and he shall lay it in the middle of the earth, the place which is salvation shall be wrought. Then Noah said to him, Who of us shall be left? And Jared answered, Thou art he that shall be left, and thou shalt take the body of our father Adam to the cave, and place it with thee in the ark when the flood comes. And thy son Shem, who shall come out of thy loins, it is he who shall lay the body of our father Adam in the middle of the earth, in the place whence salvation shall come. And Jared turned to his son Enoch and said to him, Thou, my son, abide in this cave, and minister diligently before the body of our father Adam all the days of thy life, and feed thy people in righteousness and innocence. And Jared said no more. His hands were loosened, his eyes closed, and he entered into rest like his fathers. So this is basically saying that 4 of them were left, fathers, grandfathers, and sons, and of the one line from Adam. And as we all know, Noah survived the flood with his wife and 3 sons and their wives. So I've lost my point now. Sorry, a bit early for me. So yeah, going back to the time. So everyone, except for them 4, left the mountain, and then obviously the flood came. And when we look into now, he was building the ark beside people. So he obviously did leave the mountain as well, but I guess he didn't go down and get with Cain's seed that he probably, he did marry a second time, didn't he? So I don't know who she was related to. But anyway, getting back to it. Now, as far as flood, he was told to bring 7 clean and 2 unclean of every animal. I'll re-explain that in a sec. From what I've gathered, Gog, the king of the giants, the main one in the war of the book I just mentioned, he survives riding on top of the ark, and Noah fed him abundantly. Getting back to that bit I just said, Noah saves, right? He saves his wife and his 3 sons and his 3 daughters-in-law. So he saves 7 spirits, potentially clean spirits, right? So if Noah saves Gog, maybe there's a giant female he saves also, being the 2 unclean spirits. I know it's actually talking about 7 clean animals and 7 unclean animals in the book, but it just came across as maybe a possibility that, and between Gog and this potential female giant, they might have carried on the giant seed, I don't know, or Gog did with what I've put on here, or Gog maybe, so yeah, in the old maps of Tatari we see Gog and Magog, so to show you that, actually, before I get to that, if you go back to one of my old videos called Enoch's Description of the Earth in My Perspective, I talk about, I've got a drawing of this AE map, and I talk about, I read out quotes from Book of Enoch and the description of the Earth as he's being taken and placed around the earth, as he says it. And I should point out places on the map, and it also mentions in there that over the Caspian Sea, which is below India, is towards the Garden of Righteousness. And I noticed on here when I was looking the other day, is that although my drawing, I've got it rotated round, so all the land is underneath, and that there is the north, all unbeknownst to me, but I've noticed this now, that it turns out that is 12 o'clock. Sorry, it's 11 o'clock on the map. Yeah, it's 11 o'clock on that map there, so I thought it was 12, but it's not. But over here, Garden of Righteousness, if you follow it beyond the South Pole, you get to a point where they put a star, and that could potentially be the location and the distance, if you measured it, if this was scaled, to where the Garden of Righteousness is. Is it the Garden of Righteousness? It might be that, yeah. Or Paradise, one of the two. And, or if they're not even the same, I don't know. But there it is, there. Why does that keep happening? So, I've shown this picture before. And on the video I did a couple of days ago, I showed an old drawing of Antarctica as a continent, and it showed a circle in the middle of it, saying that inside that circle was Terra Australis incognita, where they hadn't discovered it. And what you noticed was there was water touching that circle, and then a couple of rivers around it, breaching it. Now, to invert that continent into a flat Earth map, you would have something somewhat similar to this, where you would have, where the river went into that circle that they had, you would have an opening here, and where you had a few little rivers here and there breaching the circle, the continent. On the other picture, it would just be like a couple of breakthroughs, the ices here and there. Not in these exact places as it shows them on this map, according to the AE, or according to that other map where they were discovered and drawn down, but it's somewhat similar to this. Sorry, I've done something on my computer and I have to keep faffing around. I found this as well. I found it really interesting because it kind of goes along the lines with my videos, Christ in the Universe, where I'm trying to describe what I think the layout is actually like. If you look a bit closer at this, you can see that these land masses here are just these land masses here in Earth, just copied and pasted and rotated around. So this isn't accurate at all, by no means. This is just someone putting together an image, but it kind of shows what I was trying to explain in one of my old videos. So I'll just bring that up. So I also, looking into it more, Noah's son Ham saw his father's nakedness, which from what I believe is he basically slept with his own mother, and then Canaan was an inbred son. And from possibility, I don't know, maybe like because Noah, from what I can read, didn't have any more children after that, maybe Canaan went off obviously with a wife or women or whatever, and then met up with Gog, started up a revival of the pre-flood times or something, I don't know. Yeah, this is all conjecture and me just thinking out loud, so please don't hold me to any of this, but just trying to get my head around the beginning of the age, because from everything we can find, we don't have any knowledge in the world regarding the time between Adam and the flood, other than the Old Testament and New Testament and scriptures we can find here and there, or that get released every now and then or found every now and then. but trying to work it all out, because I know that all these resets and stuff we talk about at the moment, mud floods and all that, it's all in the Bible. It's all come from these stories, these wars and stuff, and these destructions. So it's just trying to work out what land was what place and what time was what war, and we could pinpoint everything pretty well, maybe even to the dates being more accurate. I mean, this is where, of every living thing of all flesh, two of every sort shall bring into the ark, keep them alive. Yeah, so sorry, I did tell you this was going to be a messy one. Excuse me. Reason I was saying about the grandson of Noah, Magog, according to Ezekiel, lived in the northern parts. Josephus records that they're called the Magogites, and the Greeks called them the Scythians. So, looking at one of the old maps, this silly computer. Where's the other bit? I've lost my drawings. My maps that I had up. Oh no. Sorry, I've for some reason somehow closed them. And there was one of them. So this was of the centre lands of North. Sorry. And I know it says in Adam and Eve that to not go down from the holy mountain, but potentially all these mountains circling these four continents and Mount Meru, this could be the holy mountain, or Meru itself could be the holy mountain, but I imagine it might be this. And there's a few places where it's easy to get over. If Cain was sent away for his murdering his brother, he could have jumped over there or there, anywhere really, down into Russia, down into into Tartaria, into Russia, Greenland, and then Canada and Alaska over here. So there's a couple of places where it's easy to come across, and I missed a bit in the scripture where it was talking about how when the holy ones were on the mountain were coming down, and Satan had made them appear handsome to Cain's female seed, obviously not his direct children, but the population that were there, and made the holy men look handsome. And then to them he also made the women that look really beautiful, and basically helped encourage them to have sex and stuff. And then when the men returned to go back up the holy mountain or back to their land, they weren't able to anymore. The stones on the mountain were like a flashing light to them. I guess what we might imagine today is getting contaminated with radioactivity or something, where you might have flashing lights when you've got your eyes closed or something like that. So I guess there was some way of prohibiting them to return after they had sinned, I suppose. And the other map it was basically a map of Tartaria, and it showed Gog and Magog in Tartaria next to each other, and a place called Scythia, or similar to Scythia. But I can't find the map, and I've got so many. It'll take forever to open them all up and look through them. Maybe that one. This isn't the one, but they were over here somewhere. No, I can't see on that one. I guess this one's a newer map. I haven't actually paid much attention to this one yet, or before. Right, I can't find it, but yeah, anyway, that was my point, that there was them places. So Noah's grandchildren, to a degree, went up to Tartaria ways. And getting back to the whole point at the beginning was, so the golden age from the past, in my opinion, is alright, so I've got a missed point here. All pre-flood structures and remains are by Cain and his seed, and the 200 fallen angels and their seed. So this was all the stuff that was pre-flood, and post-flood structures and remains are revivals of knowledge. So it could have come from anywhere, not particularly one country in particular, but from wherever they found blueprints, designs, plans, information, stuff like that. So being revived again wouldn't be too difficult, other than the fact that it's just more advanced than what we're used to, and we're almost a lot less intelligent than we used to be. So the golden age from the past, in my perspective, is actually when Cain's seed referred to pre-flood time, when the fallen angels were here and they were mating with us and like human women, and giving secret knowledge of heaven, which might have included technologies and transportation, which we today have re-engineered for energy consumption purposes, so we can put meters on it and charge people. The golden age before that must have been Atlantis, when man and gods were together. In my opinion, it's possible that might have been it. And the coming golden age is, from Cain's seed's perspective, is proclaiming to be our gods, when they are the ascended masters coming to save us, or whatever they claim to be. So yeah, I know that was messy, but I'm hoping that made sense to some people, because there's not really that much else to find out there. But it's obviously how the world's going to end is how it began. So we need to look back in order to look forward. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that out today. And sorry it was messy, but I hope it made sense. Thanks for watching. God bless.